Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background. I'm an author and the creator of the Truth and Empathy questionnaire. In this video, we're going to be exploring the feminine administrators, and that would translate into the sensor judgers, the feeler type, and obviously this group can be subdivided into the introverted and extroverted version of that type. Now, what I did is that I have a list here so that I make sure that I cover all the main points. The first thing that we need to know when it comes to this personality type is the theme of their life. So, what they are aiming for ultimately. So, their theme is about tradition and duty. So, these are hard workers, these are people who believe in being consistent, being reliable, reachable, one of the first things that you need to know about this group is that if they cannot get a hold of you, if you're not dependable, they don't like that because obviously the administrator overall or want people who are dependable, but when it comes to the feminine administrators, their relationship style has to do with being connected. So these are the type of people who like to feel very close to the people they care about. So if they don't get a chance to interact with you on a regular basis, they don't feel really close to you, this is probably a deal breaker. Very quickly, they will say, well, I cannot be with this person because I don't feel that we are very close and literally one with each other. When it comes to their physical appearance, so you'll see these are people who try to prefer to dress conservatively, so they will not wear any flashy colors. They like timeless pieces, so they like quality, so something that they would buy like earrings or jewelry and jewelry that would be of high quality so they can pass it down to their children. So they like this sense of tradition to be able to leave something of value to their children and their grandchildren and so forth. And when it comes to their family, these are people who like to receive family members on a regular basis. So they like to celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, anniversaries. They like the ritual of preparing the meal, and they're very good hosts and hostesses. So most people feel very welcome when they're around the feminine administrators, especially the extroverted type, which is literally it's called the hostess when it comes to the MBTI. So you'll see that. So they're very conscious of choosing the right words, not to make anyone uncomfortable, making sure that there's harmony because this is something they really want when it comes to their relationships is to feel that everyone is being included and there's a sense of peace and everyone feels that they belong in that group. And when it comes to their choice of mates, so they probably will go for another administrator, probably the feminine type as well. Something that people often don't know is that feminine energy is not necessarily attracted to masculine energy when it comes to relationships because feminine energy tends to be better at it. So often the feminine has to overcompensate for the fact that the masculine energy doesn't really understand subtleties when it comes to feelings, emotions, and the sort of emotional tone of most of the interactions. And interesting enough, masculine energy when it comes to administrative versus feminine are at the opposite ends when it comes to how they interact. So the feminine administrator is probably one of the best ones when it comes to close relationships. And when it comes to the masculine administrators, they're usually the ones who are the least competent when it comes to close relationships. So that is something that most people rarely talk about. When it comes to their sexuality, so these are people who are traditional. They won't come across as judgmental as, let's say, the masculine type, but they like it to be clear. So they like to know, okay, I'm a woman and I am heterosexual. They like to know where everyone is. So they're not very open to bisexuality, homosexuality, hermaphrodite. So they say no, choose your camp. You know, you have to know where you stand and then stick with it. So they're not really into these ambiguous sexual orientation because for them it has to be clear. When it comes to their profession and that also can lead to the finances, is that they probably choose a profession that has to do with being in contact with humans. So they might choose being a teacher, a nurse, a psychologist. These things had to do with being able to connect with another person and really understand more of the emotional and spiritual aspect of that interaction. What happens with the feminine energy in terms of mystery is that you have two types, the introverted and extroverted. The extrovert type doesn't tend to be very good in math and science, generally speaking. When it comes to the introvert type, because of their third function is introverted thinking, they tend to be good at that. So they could be an accountant, but still, I think that they will try to find a way to incorporate more of a human aspect to their profession. So the introverted type of the administrators, the feminine administrator, could go for something more scientific and something that has to do with more math and science. But when it comes to the extroverted type, the way their functions are laid out is that they're not usually good at math and science, so they will not choose that. But when it comes to spirituality, they're mostly religious. So these are people who do tend to attend mass on a regular basis, so they like the ritual of it, but they tend to look at spirituality in a literal sense because of how their brain is wired. So although they will tend to be talk about God and so forth, but they tend to look at the Bible almost as a literal sort of interpretation of it. So they're not really interpreting; they're just taking as is. Now, when it comes to their finances, they tend to be good in terms of managing their money, and they usually will. They're very fond of insurance and savings and making sure that their needs are being met. Money for them equals safety, security, a sense of being able to take care of themselves, but also the people they care about. So they're not risk takers. They're not the type of people who are going to put money in the stock market and have a heart attack as you seeing the money go up and down. They're not the type to want to invest in new ventures. They like companies that are stable, and these type of people, like when it comes to their job, they're very much into. They want their benefits, dental, medical. Make sure that their RSPs are maxed. So these are people who like to go for conservative type of investments. And when it comes to in terms of the what they're attracted to in terms of a mate, they are attracted to a mate that looks like themselves, so behave very similar to who they are, and their mate selection is very much influenced by what their friends, family, and tradition will dictate. So their opinion, because obviously they want to, these are people who want to be part of a particular community. So one of the worst things that could happen to them is to feel like rejected by their community. So it's important, especially when it comes to their mate selection, that mate fits well within that group. So you'll see that they tend to go for people who are very much like themselves. So they probably will go for an administrator. They will go for a masculine administrator, but that's when they realize, okay, this person doesn't, is on the same wavelength. But they will probably feel a lot better if they go for a feminine administrator like themselves, whether the person is an introverted or extrovert version of that type. So I think that this gives us an idea of what this group of people are like. Now you can please click the link if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to our channel so you can receive other videos like this one. Take care and talk to you soon.